All right. Live again. Welcome, everybody, to the Xhale podcast. I'm Eric Strauss. I'm here with Rodman Lees. How's it going, Rodman?
Good evening, Eric. Doing well.
Good evening. Today, we are checking out the Sea Stinger Pelagic Polespear. Now, Sea Stinger makes a few different versions of essentially the same Polespear. This is the one of the longest versions that they make. It is an 8-foot carbon fiber Polespear, and we're going to be checking out some of the features of this. Ooh,
Oh, man.
awkward. All right, so we will be checking out some of the features of this pole and talking about some things we do like, some things we don't like, and let's dive right into it.
Nice. I love this Polespear. It might be my favorite Polespear.
All right, video, and thanks for tuning in to this episode, guys. This is Eric Strauss, Rodman Lees. We'll see you in the next one.
So a couple things that I love about this Polespear. One is how much shoulder it has. So if you have a Polespear and it screws in and it just sits flat against your thing, against the section to section, there's no like butting on that, and
Yeah.
makes it way more fragile. This one screws all the way down to here. So what's that? That's like 3 inches at least.
Give me some shots here. Move it in.
So if your Polespear screws on and it would just stop right there, and it's a flat seam, you're not going to get a lot of strength with that. This one, it sleeves all the way down before it starts to screw in. An example would be if I unscrewed the middle section. Nope. From here, you'd see a ton of shouldering. All right, that's at least 3 inches. This sits all the way down. I'm into there, and then starts to screw down. This gives it a lot of strength. All right, this is one of the strongest Polespears. Florida Freedivers sells tons of these, and very, very few have come back. And I don't think in the 3-4 years that I was there, any of them ever came back broken. I saw a couple faults with like manufacturing, gluing, stuff like that, which are all warranty issues. But I never saw one come back broken, which I mean, that's a testament right there, because we sell a ton of these things.
Here's what I'll say about the Sea Stinger Polespear. This was probably, and I don't know this for a fact, but I'm pretty sure this is one of the first carbon Polespears ever commercially available to in any dive shop.
For sure.
And that was years ago. I don't know exactly how long they've been making these things, but it's been a long time. And they still make them exactly the same. There's no difference in one of these versus how when they first came out.
Very little.
So that alone speaks wonders to me.
Yep.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it. There's not many cons to this Polespear.
No. No.
One thing I think that's important to address is that there are a ton of different types of Polespears, right? And we kind of categorize them into, I like to put them into 2 main categories, but there's a few in-betweeners for sure. But you got like lightweight, fast Polespears and heavyweight, slow, hard-hitting Polespears. This definitely still categorizes as a lightweight, fast Polespear. And it's important to know the capabilities and the limitations of your gear. There's not many lightweight Polespears out there that can successfully shoot a 100-pound black grouper and get rocked up and come out surviving, if any. But the Sea Stinger, for what it is one of the most durable light Polespears out there.
For sure. And to say that you can't shoot, and correct me if I'm putting words in your mouth, but it's not that you can't shoot something massive with a light, fast Polespear, because you
For sure.
absolutely can. You know, like the biggest fish I've eever heard of getting shot on a Polespear was Daniel Hume's tuna, which is like over 200 pounds, something like that. Massive. And he shot that on a rife, Polespear. So super fast. I think he broke like 7 of them before he was able to land the fish. But
Yeah, to
But that's
say
a light-
to say it can't be done is not
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
It can definitely be done. It's just important to know the limitations of your gear
Absolutely.
as far as strength goes when it comes to these.
Another awesome thing with strength is this. You can see the tip goes on here. We'll talk about tips in a second. But this tip, the metal rod that this is, it's not just some short little shank, which you see on a lot of Polespears. This thing runs all the way throughout the Polespear, and it's actually what connects the midsection to the front section is that piece of metal.
Yeah, so you can see over by Rodman's hand where the white price sticker is. That's right about where the front section meets the midsection. So that injector rod with the threading on the end runs all the way entirely through that front section and joins into the middle section. It's actually, like you said, that's what the midsection threads onto is that rod.
Yep. Which gives this incredible strength. Where you see a lot of Polespears break is in that front section. Well, now that it's all carbon fiber and you have that big steel rod in there, that gives it a ton of strength. It also gives it a little bit of heft. It's not super light, especially in the front. So when you hit something, it's got a little bit of mass, a little momentum. It's not just velocity that counts.
sure.
It's also that punching power, that mass.
I honestly believe that the Sea Stinger is one of the best balances of weight and speed out there.
Yep.
I don't think any Polespear does it better.
No, I think it's my favorite Polespear.
Do we sound a little biased? I feel like
I've gotten to 4 years of Florida Freedivers. I got to handle a bunch of different Polespears. And I got to see not just my limited use, but thousands of customers coming in the door and buying Polespears and using them. So I got a lot of reviews.
yeah, between the two of us, we've sold
Hundreds.
I could not count how many
Yeah,
Polespears we've sold between the two of us.
Hundreds, at least. Hundreds of the Sea Stinger.
Yeah, of the Sea Stinger alone.
Yeah.
That's thousands of Polespears.
Thousands of Polespears.
Between the two of us.
Yeah,
So
which is crazy.
to say that this one comes back the least with issues is a pretty big statement.
Yep.
So
I really like this guy. It comes around at 8 feet, which you said. It's, let's call it just under 9 feet with a tip.
yeah.
That is my favorite size of Polespear. Anything more than that, it is very hard for me. It gets in the way more than it is useful swimming around with it, especially if you're going to places like the Bahamas where these Polespears are most likely to be used.
Yeah.
You can get within 8 feet of a fish. That is absolutely doable. Even big grouper, you can get within 8 feet. Most of the problems that I have with the Polespear is I've tried to get too close. I'm trying to put it on them before I let go. If I took the 3-foot shot, I wouldn't have spooked them. Because I tried to take the 1-foot shot, I got a little bit too close.
Yeah.
Which is crazy to say, but that's really how it goes. So I really like this size. Plus, you can work in holes a lot more, and it's awesome. That being said, you can take this middle section out and make it shorter, make it like the 7-foot. I think it's like 6.5.
Yeah.
Which I also really like. Or you can keep adding midsections. You want to make this, let's say you're trying to set a Polespear world record for Wahoo, something like that, and you want a 10-foot, 11-foot Polespear, you can add these midsections, and these, because they're shouldered so much, it retains its rigidity. It's still really stiff. Where on some, especially not metal Polespears, if it gets long at all, it starts to lose a lot of that rigidity. When you go to shoot it, it's not going to transfer that power. It's going to whip, become inaccurate, and even slower than a Polespear already is.
Yeah.
So I really like that you can add sections to it. I also really like this band. So not the band itself. I really like the color of the band that it comes with. So that electric yellow, that neon yellow. I can't tell you how many times I've waved one of these things at a boat or been driving the boat and seen one of these things waving at me. And you're like, oh,
Flapping in the water.
there he is,
Yeah.
You can really see that thing from a long way off. I consider that like a safety feature. I don't know if they intended it. I think it's more just like a look cool thing, but
I think it started as a branding thing.
yeah.
Like the yellow has always been part of the Sea Stinger branding. And it has turned into something that people realize, hey, this actually works as a safety thing. I've got one more pro that I want to add, and then I have 2 cons.
Ooh, nice.
2 cons. So probably my favorite thing about the pole is the front weighting. So we talked about how that steel rod goes all the way through the front section of the pole spear. Because of that, all the weight is in the front of the pole. The back section is extraordinarily light. It is a full carbon back section. It has zero weight to it all. It might as well be air. When you're loaded with that pole spear and you're holding it all the way up at the front, all the weight is in your hand and there's no weight out behind you, which makes it incredibly maneuverable. It's also wider in the front than it is in the back. So it's easier to track through the water in the back. So you get a little bit better tracking, and you get a little bit better tracking because that weight is not out behind you. You're not trying to like hold up a 10-foot aluminum pole spear with 3 pounds of weight out behind you on a huge lever. That's a lot of leverage when you've got that much pole spear out behind you. So I think that's one of the biggest reasons this thing performs as good as it does and is as versatile as it is. So you got any more pros?
If I was going to say a pro, it comes ready to go with a float line. I know most people connect their float lines or their belt reels to the band, which makes it easy. But it does have a pinhole right here, which is not necessarily designed for a float line, but it works really well for that.
I think it's a little safer to run your float line connected straight to the back of the pole spear.
It's solid. The rubber band only doesn't have as much braking strength as you think.
Not only that, but have you seen that video that's been going around on Instagram of the guy holding onto the band as a shark swims away with the pole spear, and the pole spear coming back at like Mach 10 straight into his hand?
Oof.
Have you seen that?
No,
dude.
I've warned people about that 1,000 times, but I haven't seen the video.
I'll show you the video. It is one of the gnarliest videos I've ever seen. It's a yellow fiberglass pole spear. The dude shoots like an angelfish to feed it to a shark, and the shark swims away with the pole spear when he feeds it to him. And the dude holds onto the band, and I mean, I've seen, how much 400% stretch is? This thing had to be 1,400% stretch. It was so far away, and it slings back and literally replaces his middle finger.
Oh my!
I mean,
goodness.
the back, the flat, hard part of the pole spear, it's not even sharp, just replaces his middle finger. It goes straight into his hand, right at the knuckle. You can see his finger like down like that, and it's just a pole spear sticking out of his. It's gnarly. So, connect your float lines to the pole spear.
Connect your float lines to the pole spear.
To touch on a couple of my cons, just to keep it moving. The first thing that I think is a con, the band that it comes with. Although I do like the yellow, and honestly, the band is not a terrible option. It works just fine, but the pole can handle a little bit more power. It reacts well to a little bit more power. The Rife 3/8 smaller inner diameter bands work really, really well. So I believe this is actually also a 3/8 outside diameter, but it's a pretty big inside diameter as well. So you don't have much overall wall thickness. Just a little bit more wall thickness definitely works well. But that's an easy fix, obviously. And the other thing, which is my least favorite thing about this pole spear, they call it a 3-piece. It's realistically a 2-piece because that back section is your longest section. So for anybody that wants a real breakdown pole spear, it breaks what you're looking at on the table, the part with the band on it. That is the full length of the back section. That is the longest piece that you have to stow. And it's not, compared to a real 3-piece, it's way bigger.
Yeah. If you were watching this video and you're like, I want that, but I need something that fits in a backpack or at least in my dive
or
bag.
that I can bring in a carry-on or even a check-in bag.
They do make shorter back sections, and you just add mid sections to it. Obviously, that's going to affect the price of it. And this isn't a cheap pole spear. If you're just getting into it, buy yourself a black aluminum pole spear and start saving money every month so you can afford this.
Yeah. Or a yellow fiberglass because those get the job done too.
Those get the job. I like the black aluminum ones a little bit better than the fiberglass ones, but that's a whole nother episode. Either way, I think that this is an awesome one. It doesn't come with a tip. So you're going to have to spend another 60, well, let's say another $45 to $80, depending on what kind of tip that you want to get. I highly recommend not getting the Sea Stinger tip. Although that is a wildly popular tip, I really like the Headhunter tip, and I really like the Noretic tip. I think both those tips work phenomenally well. I really like the Headhunter tip. I think that works. Ooh, I take it back. New kid on the block, the Evolve tip.
Best slip tip out there.
Best slip tip out there. I completely spaced on that.
The only reason I gravitate towards the Headhunter versus the Evolve, and you know I'm a big fan of the Evolve slip tip,
Yep.
is it's way easier to get a hold of.
Yeah.
There's way fewer stores carrying Evolve products than Headhunter, and a lot less quantity as well.
For sure. The Evolve's a better slip tip.
Headhunter's easier to get.
And they both get the job done.
They do.
They both get
The difference
job done.
between the two is very small.
Yep. Absolutely. But that's a Sea Stinger Polespear. I think it's, if someone was like, hey, you can only shoot one Polespear the rest of your life,
That's
looking
the
at
one.
it. You're looking at it.
It's a solid setup. So thanks for checking out this episode, guys. If you want to get your own Sea Stinger Polespear or find any other Polespears, check out Florida Freedivers, their shop in North Palm Beach, or there's a link in the description to the Sea Stinger here that you are looking at, the pelagic 8-foot version. So definitely check that out, and we will see you in the next one.